There was a moment here in Australia, when the wind seemed to whisper more than simply breeze. Not through a city that is always becoming something else. Through a place that stopped becoming and simply stayed. Where the shopfront has not changed since 1962. Where the clock on the post office wall stopped at 3:20 on a Tuesday nobody can quite remember. Where the street is the same street it has always been and the people on it are the children of the people who were on it before them. There is a specific peace that lives in a town that stopped. Not the peace of surrender, not a place that gave up. The peace of a place that made a decision, silently, without a vote or a meeting, simply by continuing to be exactly what it was. Most of Australia has been chasing something. Growth. Development. The next thing. These towns chose to remain. We are counting down 5 Australian towns where time literally stopped. One still has a working milk bar with the original signage from 1957. Another has a main street that appeared in 4 period films because the production designers could not find anything that needed changing. And yes, one town has held the same Sunday service at the same hour for over 100 years and has not missed a single week. Like this video if you have ever walked into a place and felt the present fall away. Subscribe because one day you will want to find the town the rest of the country forgot to update. Let's break it down. Number 5. Chiltern, Victoria. Chiltern sits in the foothills of northeast Victoria, population around 1,000, a gold rush settlement from the 1860s that stopped when the gold ran out and stayed exactly as it was. The main street is National Trust classified, meaning the buildings cannot be altered. The Athenaeum. The Star Hotel. The Old Bank. They are not reconstructions. They are the originals, still standing, still used. The box ironbark woodland surrounding Chiltern is some of the most intact remaining in Victoria, the kind of environment that existed before the clearing, before the development, before the continent was remade in the image of somewhere else. Walking through it is walking backward through every change to something that preceded them all. One visitor wrote, "Chiltern does not perform its history. It simply has it." The buildings are not museums, people live and work in them. You stop reaching for your phone to document it because documentation feels like the wrong response. The right response is just to be there. The trade-off is a town of 1,000, one of everything, none of some things, and the distance to major services. But the constraint is also the gift. Picture this. It is a morning in Chiltern. A woman opens the bakery in a building that was a bakery before her mother was born. The ironbark woodland is just beyond the edge of town. The National Trust sign says protected, and you think yes, protected is exactly the right word for a place that kept something the rest of the state spent 50 years losing. Number 4. Maldon, Victoria. Maldon was declared Australia's first notable town by the National Trust in 1966. The main street stayed the way it was. The shops remained in buildings with original facades and original materials. Film crews have used it repeatedly for period productions because the period is built in and the contemporary is largely absent. You can frame a shot in Maldon that requires no dressing at all. The steam train that runs between Maldon and Castlemaine on weekends is not a tourist attraction in the constructed sense. It is a continuation, a form of transport kept alive by people who believe some things are worth maintaining not because they are efficient but because they are true. One filmmaker wrote, "We budgeted 3 days for dressing the location. We spent 3 hours. There was nothing to add and nothing to remove. The town is the set. The trade-off is the tourist attention. Maldon is known, and summer weekends bring people from Melbourne who come for the very stillness their presence slightly disturbs. Weekdays are different. The town is yours. Picture this. It is a Tuesday in Maldon. The main street is quiet. The buildings are what they have always been. The steam track runs through the edge of town toward Castlemaine and it has been there since before the car arrived and made it seem unnecessary. Some things outlast the thing that was supposed to replace them. Number 3. Beechworth, Victoria. Beechworth stopped and turned its stillness into a kind of richness that most modern Australian towns have spent their development destroying. Population around 3,000. Northeast Victoria. The honey shop on the main street has been selling honey since 1879, not a heritage recreation, a continuous business in the same stone building on the same street for that entire time. In the years since 1879, Australia has changed governments, fought wars, been remade by technology the shop's founders could not have imagined. The shop continued. Same wooden shelving. Same building. Same street. One resident who moved from Melbourne wrote, "I moved here for the affordability and stayed for the feeling. The feeling is hard to name. Something like being in a place that knows what it is. Most towns do not know what they are anymore. They are trying to become something. Beechworth already became something and stopped, and that something is still here and you can live inside it. The trade-off is the tourism. Beechworth is known and the main street on a summer weekend is full of people who came for the same reasons you did. But the surrounding woodland and the quieter streets are available to anyone who steps slightly off the path the tours follow. Picture this. It is an October morning in Beechworth. The honey shop opens at 9 in a building that has been opening at 9 since 1879. The ironbark woodland is behind the town in every direction, that specific dry gold green that the rest of the country has been clearing since the colony began. The town knows what it is. It has known for a long time. Number 2. Sofala, New South Wales. Sofala is the oldest surviving gold town in Australia, population around 80, sitting on the Turin River in central New South Wales with the specific stillness of a place that was once very loud and is now very quiet and has found its identity in that transition. The Royal Hotel has been serving drinks since 1862, the oldest continually licensed pub in New South Wales. The bridge over the Turin. The general store. The buildings along the main road are original because nobody came with the money or the reason to replace them. Photographers come to Sofala from across Australia for the light, the way a river valley in the central tablelands holds the afternoon sun, the weatherboard and corrugated iron catching it, the old buildings becoming something more than buildings at 4 o'clock in autumn. The town has been looked at for a long time and it has not changed for the looking. One photographer wrote, "Sofala is one of the few places in Australia where I do not feel like I am racing against development. It is not going to be different next year. It is accumulating time rather than shedding it, and that accumulation is visible in every surface. The trade-off is the smallness, 80 people is a village, not a town, and roads that are correct for the era the town belongs to and somewhat challenging for the era you are driving through it in. Picture this. It is an autumn afternoon in Sofala. The Turin River is low but present. The Royal Hotel has been open since 1862. The light is doing what the photographers come for. There are 80 people in this town and all of them know the rest of the country moved on, and that moving on was not the only option. Number 1. Braidwood, New South Wales. Braidwood takes the top spot not because it is the most frozen but because it has achieved something the others are still working toward. A complete, functioning community that lives inside its own history without being consumed by it. Population around 1,200. Southern Tablelands. National Trust classified. But also alive. The main street is stone buildings from the 1850s housing a bookshop, a butcher, a bakery, a pub, a hardware store, and cafes that are genuinely good. The coffee quality in Braidwood is higher than you expect from a town of 1,200 people 2 hours from Canberra. Because the people who moved here in recent decades moved for quality of life rather than career, and quality of life includes coffee, and the town responded. Multiple period productions have filmed here because the town was unchanged. After the cameras left, it remained unchanged. The stillness was not performed for the production. It was simply there and the production found it and left and it stayed. One long-term resident wrote, "People ask what it is like to live in a town that looks like the past. I tell them it does not look like the past to me. It looks like where I live. The buildings are not sets. They are where the butcher works and where we go on Friday evenings. The history is not something we preserve. It is something we live inside, and the difference matters. The trade-off is the distance, 2 hours from Canberra, further from Sydney. And the winters, which are genuinely cold in the way that Highland winters are cold, with frost and fog and mornings that require you to want to be there before you can appreciate them. And in that quiet hush, beneath the whispering gums, on stone main streets and river valleys and goldfield roads, I realized not all shadows hide. Some simply invite us to see. We just counted down 5 Australian towns where time literally stopped. The stillness is real. The history is real. But so is the possibility that in a country rebuilding itself at speed for 200 years, the places that decline to rebuild are the ones that kept something the rest of us are still trying to name. What place has made you feel time fall away? Leave it below. If this video showed you something worth seeing, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a different kind of map. We will see you in the next one. This video expresses poetic and reflective storytelling. Historical details are based on publicly available sources. It does not offer travel or relocation advice.